first day of Super Brain Quest. This is your superhero school to activate your incredible mental superpowers, to be able to learn any subject or skill faster and improve your memory, and so much more. I am your brain coach, Jim Kwik. I'm so excited and honored, and really thank you for showing up. We talked about how there are two keys to success. The first half is just showing up, which I applaud you for showing up. The second half is what? Is playing full out. And I'm glad that you're here and we're going to do this together. Now, in this lesson, I'm going to share with you the 3 keys to fix your forgetfulness. The 3 keys, what are? When we're talking about your memory, how incredible your memory could be to be able to boost your intelligence, your influence, your impact, your level of income. How does it work? Like, why do you forget things? I'm going to share with you the 3 keys to boosting your memory, and I call it MOM, because you always want to remember your mom. This is the mother of all memory techniques. So if you're ever forgetting something, whether it's someone's name or something you just learned or a conversation or where you put something, usually one of these 3 things is missing. Right? So MOM, and it's an acronym, right? We learn things through acronyms. You remember the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You remember the Great Lakes because you remember Homes, H-O-M-E-S. Lake what? Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Superior. So we learn through acronyms. So I'm going to give you some acronyms as we go through these lessons in this quest. So you want to remember MOM, and this is really the mother again of all memory techniques. What does the M stand for? Well, let's apply this technique towards something you need to remember. So everything you're going to learn in this quest is very practical, extremely action-oriented and practical. Remember the 3 F's of this quest. We want to make it fast, we want to make it fun, and we want to make it fulfilling, meaning functional. We want to make it rewarding for you. So let's apply this towards remembering names. This is probably the area that most people complain about the most. You meet somebody, you get their name, and then seconds later what happens? As soon as that handshake breaks, the name just disappears. It just falls right to the floor. Or if it's not a short-term issue, it's usually a long-term issue. You're at the gym or you're at the grocery store, somebody taps you on your shoulder, you turn around and you see somebody you recognize, but for the life of you, you don't remember what? You don't remember their name. And what makes it worse is when that person has the audacity and the nerve to remember your name, right? So it gets very embarrassing. So how do you apply MOM to remembering names? Let's take this example. Let's say you have trouble remembering names. Let's say there's a suitcase here of $1 million cash for you or your favorite charity. It's yours, tax-free, if you just remember the name of the next stranger you meet. Are you going to remember that person's name? Of course you are. You're going to remember that person's name and you're going to remember it for the rest of your life. Now, what happened? Initially, you have trouble remembering names, right? Most people do. But then all of a sudden, now you're a memory expert. You remember the person's name. So I want to remind you as your coach. A coach doesn't always tell you something brand new. A coach reminds you what you do when you're great. You don't remember all names maybe, but you certainly don't forget all names either. So there's certain clues. And I always tell people, genius leaves clues. And ultimately, you are the memory expert. You, because you know you better than anybody else. So learn from yourself. You normally forget people's names, but you remember this person's name. Why? Because there's $1 million reward for being able to do it because you're incentivized. So the M in MOM, the first M stands for motivation. What is your motivation for remembering someone's name? What's your motivation for learning that other language? We know that people who fall in love with somebody from another country or from a different culture learn that language faster because there's motivation. And I would say that since genius leaves clues, as there's always a method behind what appears to be magical, when someone can learn a language or remember people's names, you want to look for what that process is. And I'm going to help you discover that over the next 30 days. So I'm really, really excited about that. But going back to motivation, that's where it starts. I remember recently I was giving a presentation in Silicon Valley, and afterwards Bill Gates comes to me and we start having this conversation about the future of education. And I take an accelerated learning approach, talking about adult learning theory and brain science. He takes an approach from technology, right? And somebody who was listening to the conversation was saying to us, is there anything missing? And he and I talked about it a little bit longer and we came up to the same conclusion, human motivation. Because a lot of people know what to do, but they don't do what they know. So as your coach, I want to call you on your truth. And the truth is, a lot of people, they procrastinate. They know they should be doing something. They know they should meditate. They know they should journal. They know they should read a little bit each day. They know they should work out or exercise. They know all the things they should do, but they don't always get themselves to do it. The difference that makes the difference always comes down to action. And that's why I appreciate you for showing up and, again, playing full out. And I talk about this in repetition, but it's very important because that's one of the principles of having this quicker recall, this better memory. So going back to motivation, I want you to do this. I want you to ask yourself why. Start with why. It's one of my favorite books by Simon Sinek, Start with Why. I highly recommend it. And why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Right? Why do you want to learn this? Why do you want to learn another language? As we're beginning this quest together, ask yourself why. Why do you want to go through this program? Make a list for yourself of what are you going to get out of it? What are the benefits that you're going to be able to enjoy? What are the rewards? This session's brain bite is this: reasons reap results. That you start with why. I talk about a success formula, I call it H cubed. That if you want something, it goes from your head to your heart to your hands. That you could visualize things in your head. And we've done this before, right? We set goals in our head. We have affirmations and thoughts in our head. But if we don't act with it on our hands, usually what's missing is the second H, which is what? Your heart. And what is the heart? The symbol for that? It's emotion, right? It's energy. You know, I had a martial arts instructor tell me years ago, you can't steer a parked car, right? You need some fuel, you need some gas there, and that's the emotion. So I would start when you're about to meet the stranger, ask yourself, why do I want to remember this person's name? Maybe it's to show the person respect. Maybe it's to make a new friend. Maybe it's to make a deal or close a sale. Maybe it's just to practice what we learned in this quest, to activate your super brain. Because practice makes what? Practice makes progress, right? So come up with your why, tap into your motivation. The O in mom stands for, well, before I tell you, do this. Take your hand, look at me. Everyone do this. Shake out your hand. Shake out one of your hands right now. Good. Make a fist. Put it to your chin. Now, everybody, where's your chin? Right? It's here, right? Most people put it to their cheek. The O in mom stands for observation. Observation. Here's the thing. A lot of people, they blame their retention. When they forget something, they blame their retention. But it's not your retention all the time. It's your attention. In fact, the art of memory is the art of attention. Like a lot of people, they're not forgetting a person's name, they're just not hearing it to begin with. Does that make sense? That sometimes when you're meeting someone for the first time, you're not really listening to the person. So I have a quick, quote-unquote, story for you. The second time I met President Bill Clinton was at a fundraiser, and we're sitting next to each other at a fundraiser for hearing loss. And it was something I'm very passionate about, maintaining your senses. And you know, they go to different countries, and we provide hearing aids to like children that never have heard before. You get to hear their parents' voice for the first time. So the second time I met him, I was blown away because he remembered my name. He didn't just remember my name, he remembered our last conversation. And what really impressed me is he has this incredibly powerful presence, right? Communicator, charisma, he's a connector, but he also has this incredible memory. And when I was talking to him, I noticed something interesting, that his incredible memory and his powerful presence comes from being powerfully present with people. Let me say that again, that I believe his incredible memory and his powerful presence comes from being powerfully present. And that's a superpower we all have. You know, people, they don't want your gifts, the things that you're going to buy them. They want the gift of your presence, right? They want to feel seen. They want to feel heard. I noticed that when he was speaking with me, even though I posted this picture on Instagram, it's myself, and I'm sitting next to Oscar winner Forrest Whitaker, and it's Sir Richard Branson, it's Ashton Kutcher, and Ashton Kutcher, he's an actor, his twin brother, and then President Clinton sitting between us. And it was interesting that when he was talking to me, it was like nobody else on the table exists. And even there was 2,000 people at this fundraiser, and it was like nobody else existed. It was like one-on-one conversation. And it's not often when you meet somebody, usually you're looking over the person's shoulder. People are looking over your shoulder. They're seeing who else is important in this room. Or they're not distracting themselves outside, they're distracting themselves inside, like they're having a conversation with themselves. Have you ever been guilty of this? I know I have. It's like you're not really listening, you're waiting for your turn to speak, right? You're thinking about how you're going to respond. And remember, one of my favorite books is by Dr. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'll recommend it a couple of times, and I recommend you buy this book and read this book. One of the habits of highly successful, effective people is seek first to understand, then to be understood. So be present with people. And really, what we're talking about mom, M-O-M. The first M is motivation. It's just showing that you care, right? That's just a good practice as any human being, right? But the O in mom stands for observation, which means what? Just be present with people. And so those are two qualities, I would say, that really will boost your memory, and two principles of just being a good person. And just one final note on observation. If you write down the word listen, just write that down as you're taking notes right now. Write down the word listen and scramble the letters around. What word does the word listen also spell if you scramble the letters around? It spells the word silent. So if you want a powerful presence, what I would say, if you want to be powerfully present with people, just be silent on the inside and just really listen to the person. And finally, the last M in mom stands for mechanics. And I don't mean the person that fixes your car. I mean the tools, the techniques, the strategy, step by step on how to remember someone's name, how to learn a language faster, how to give a presentation confidently, memorize it without using notes. And when we're talking about mechanics, that really is the heart and the center of what we're talking here in this Super Brain Quest together. Every single day, we're going to talk about a new lesson and specific strategy, a mechanical skill, what you could do to be able to accelerate your learning and boost your memory. So, do you remember what MOM spells? The M stands for what? Motivation. What do? Ask yourself why. Why do you want to remember this new thing? The O stands for what? Observation. Very good. And learning is not a matter of retention as much as it is a matter of paying attention. And finally, the last M stands for what? The mechanics. And these are the tools and techniques that you're going to learn on this quest that we're going to do together. So here's your homework, or your fun work, if you will. I want you to go into our community, go into our tribe, and put two things down. I want to know what your motivation is, first of all. Why are you here? Why are you going through this program? Why did you invest in your time and your energy into this program? What's your big why? What's your big outcome? I want to know what your dreams are and what you'd like to accomplish over the next 30 days. What drives you to go through and to tune in every single day over the next 30 days. And number two, what I would love you to list in our community is this: ideas. Brainstorm ideas of what you could do to enhance your motivation. For example, ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 10, how motivated do I feel about this? And maybe you come up with the number 5. What would you need to do to take it mentally from a 5 to a 7, or a 7 to a 9, or a 9 to a 10? How can you incentivize yourself? What are some ideas that we could do together as a community, ideas you could share with your fellow members, your fellow super brains, on how to increase your level of motivation, your motive for action. This is Jim Kwik, your Super Brain Coach. I'll see you in tomorrow's lesson.